Local reports from the Polish border, which is 418 kilometers long, that's 261 miles in American units, is that two groups of several dozen migrants have managed to cross the border into Poland. Obviously the Polish military doesn't have enough troops to cover the entire length of the border 24 hours 7 days a week. The breaches happened in the area of Krynek and Białowieża according to Radio Białystok. On November 12, France will hold talks with the Russian defense and foreign ministers, Lavrov and Shoigu, the two biggest evil sons of a bitch in Russia except Putin. I wonder if France will continue to accept the lies and bullshit from Russia, since it's Macron, probably. Russia has used chemical weapons against NATO countries to assassinate people and Europe still acts like it's no big deal and Russia can be our friend. Belarus's foreign minister said that any deployment of NATO troops on the Polish-Belarusian border will entail retaliatory measures. Meanwhile, Poland briefed the North Atlantic Council on the situation at the border with Belarus. NATO said that allies stand in full solidarity with Poland against Belarus and their blatant instrumentalization of migrants to cause chaos in the European Union. The Estonian Defense Minister Kallonet said today that there's an extremely high potential for escalation that could turn the whole thing into a military crisis. Well, he's Estonian, he knows how evil the Russian leadership is after all, unlike the morons in Western Europe with their heads still up their asses. Chamberlain would have fought back against Putin more than these weaklings. Meanwhile, the supposed leader of Europe, Germany, still led by Russian apologist Angela Merkel, spoke to Putin by phone asking him to exert his influence on President Lukashenko because people are being used here. I'm not sure if she's a Russian tool, that freaking dumb or mentally handicapped. It's freaking pathetic, no wonder Putin thinks he can do whatever he wants. Putin does that kind of crap all the time yet Germany tells Putin, yes please more daddy. Germany committed political suicide by shutting down all their nuclear power plants like morons and becoming dependent on Russian gas through the Nord Stream 2 pipeline while throwing Ukraine under the bus. It's almost like Merkel signed a secret pact with Putin like a Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact of 2021 or something. Russian infestation of German politics in the last 50 years has paid off massively. Ukraine has been flying their very advanced Bayraktar TB2 UAV to monitor Russian movements in the Kherson region. This is the same type of drone that was used to destroy Russian anti-air defense missile systems in Libya and vehicles and artillery positions in Armenia, Syria, and in the Donbass. Too bad Ukraine has only 17 of these drones, maybe more since Ukraine and Turkey announced a partnership to produce 48 drones in Ukraine, so who knows how many they really have in stock as of November 2021. Ukraine has been preparing for possible scenarios where Belarus and Russia gives weapons to migrants and send them on the Ukrainian-Belarus border to cause trouble. Great move by the military leadership in Kiev, never underestimate the bullshit Russia and Belarus might pull. The Russian Ministry of Defense tweeted a report on Black Sea activity. The Slava-class cruiser Moskvand and the Grigorovich-class frigate Admiral Essen are monitoring two US ships in the Black Sea, the USS Mount Whitney and the USS Porter. Sounds to me like Russia is afraid of two small US ships in the Black Sea. Russia is supposed to be a superpower, yet every time one or two US ships enter the Black Sea, they wet their pants. That's some serious insecurity right there. An update from Lithuania, a member of NATO and bordering Poland and Belarus, they are sending more armed forces to the border with Belarus to monitor what the hell is going on there. According to former Belarus government official Pavel Latushka, who was ambassador to France and Poland, Belarus's dictator has trained Afghan and Iraqi war veterans to enter Polish territory and carry out terrorist attacks if ordered to do so. According to him, Lukashenko's next step will be to create a local military conflict on the EU border. Of course he's not afraid of getting backlash for that because he's being backed by his daddy in Moscow. Russia and Putin are sending a big message to Poland and NATO today. They've ordered two nuclear bombers Tu-160 to patrol Belarusian airspace in a show of support to Belarus. Pentagon press secretary today said that the United States continues to see unusual military activity inside Russia but near Ukraine's borders, unusual in its size and scope, and warns Russia that the US doesn't want to see any action further destabilize what is already a very tense part of the world. He also said that the whole thing got our attention, no question about it, saying that the folks in Moscow should be transparent with the international community with what they're doing. Expecting transparency from Russia and Putin? You should ask for an unicorn to appear and puke gold instead, it has much better chances of happening. The Russian military buildup is concerning for a couple of reasons. First, the buildup is not just north or east of Ukraine but also in Crimea. Elements of the 41st Combined Arms Army, 1st Guards Tank Army, which is considered the best tank army in the whole Russian army, the elite of the Russian ground forces, and the 58th Combined Arms Army reinforcing permanently based units of the 20th and 8th and 22nd Army Corps in Crimea. It might look normal if this was training season, but it's not. This is not a routine drill or certification check. The most concerning thing of all is that this activity is not particularly public or with coercive statements from Moscow as it was seen from February to April 2021. My conclusion is that the Russian military has been ordered to be in position for a possible operation in the coming months. The only one who knows when that will be is Putin, of course. There's the holiday season coming up and the Winter Olympics in China in February, so who knows, maybe Putin will send the Russian army into Ukraine full tilt during the Olympics as he did in 2008 against Georgia. He invaded Georgia on August 8, the very day Olympics began in China. According to Radar Public Information, the U.S. has sent at least 4 Lockheed Martin MC-130J Commando II cargo planes to Latvia today. Each plane can carry about 40 tons of cargo or about 77 troops. Sounds like Latvia asked NATO for reinforcements or something. According to the Belarusian Minister of Defense, the country has beefed up air defenses on western and northwestern borders, so the Latvian and Polish border. They also said that the flights of Russian nuclear-capable bombers, the Tupolev 22M3, will now be carried out on a regular basis. President of Ukraine tonight did a speech to the country, saying that Ukraine got intelligence from partners on alarming movements of Russian military near their borders. He compared Russian aggression to COVID and warns people not to spread panic, helping Russian disinformation. Meanwhile, in the United States, 15 House Republicans led by Mike Turner from Ohio asked Biden to consider sending US troops to Ukraine immediately, along with intel and weapons to deter Russian aggression. They also say that Russia's aggressive behavior and forces buildup on the border fuels concerns that Russia is planning additional incursions. Dominik Muszal, the Polish consul general in Erbil in Iraq, told the News Today that the migrants used by Belarus to cause trouble and enter Poland from Belarus have been equipped and prepared to forcibly cross the border. Satellite images from Maxar show hundreds of migrants camping along the Belarus side of the Kuznica border crossing with Poland. European Commission's head Ursula von der Leyen said on Wednesday that the European Union would widen its sanctions against Belarus. Well, it's nice and all, but telling Putin to get screwed with his Nord Stream pipeline would be better. Germany and the US have talked in the last few hours, saying that if Russia should attempt to use energy as a weapon or commit further aggressive acts against Ukraine, Germany and the US are committed to take appropriate actions. All I've seen from the US and Germany in the last 20 years is empty threats against Putin, crimes and murders. Sanctions against Russia are worthless if you don't take away their gas and oil money. Hell, closing all Russian embassies and cutting all internet cables coming out of Russia would be a start. Japan, for the first time since the end of the Cold War, begins a nationwide, large-scale military drill in case they need to help Taiwan against communist aggression. 100,000 personnel, 20,000 vehicles and 120 aircrafts will take part in the drill. West Taiwan Foreign Ministry said that a visit to Taiwan, the real China, by a United States congressional delegation violates the One China policy and that the United States must immediately stop all forms of official interaction with Taiwan or else West Taiwan should shut the hell up and focus on their collapsing economy instead of barking like a mad dog. The American Secretary of State Antony Blinken said today that allied nations would be prepared to take action if China uses force against Taiwan. He said action, not military action, and when asked about it he refused to say if the Biden administration would be ready to use the American military in such a war. So probably not. The world should already be putting sanctions or at least preparing to cut all imports from China tomorrow morning if anything happened to Taiwan, but it won't happen because cowards run Western countries. For FARC's sake, the Communist Party lied about COVID and the result was global catastrophe with 15 million dead from COVID so far, not to mention the hundreds of millions of people who lost their jobs over this whole thing, and the Communist Party literally got zero consequences from their bullshit. Zero. So if they invade Taiwan I won't expect much, they'll talk big but in real terms, nothing much will be done.